Let's take a look at the keyframe browsing feature. The next and previous keyframe commands from the animation panel will now scan through the animation of all the parameters of the selected objects, if nothing is marked. If parameters are marked, then the previous next commands focus on those marked parameters. With mocap data, we sometimes get Gimbal Log problems where rotation values change suddenly. A new feature in the plot tool now solves this problem. Let's pose constrain the character to the null. Then we'll mark the parameters that we want to plot, rotation and position. Finally, we'll get the plot tool and enable the process rotation to ensure continuity option. Then click on OK to execute the process. And since our little guy now has its own transformation F-curves, the constraint can be removed. Now let's open up the F-curve editor. We can see that the newly generated F-curves have been fixed and no longer have the huge rotation gap caused by the gimbal lock. Okay, and now let's pose constrain the character to the rock with a compensation. If we now constrain the rock to the character, we're creating a dependency cycle, and XSI will warn you of this, advising you to get rid of one of the constraints. You can also execute the cycle checking command at the scene or object level to get a cycle report. We'll delete the last constraint to get rid of the cycle. Okay, say we want our character to retain its original animation and plot only the constrained motion from the time of the impact with the rock. We want to plot frame 35 to 150. The second to last option of the plot tool, which is turned on by default, will prevent an override of the entire original F-curve. Only frame 35 to 150 will be modified. Now we can remove the constraint. As you can see, the first part of the animation has been preserved. The satellite dish has a path constraint on the circle. If we open the property editor, we'll notice that there is a lock to path checkbox which, when enabled, will prevent us from moving the constrained object off the path using translation tools, unless compensation is turned on, in which case the offset will be reflected in the property editor.